We have an ongoing challenge as a board with the Tualatin Valley Water District. We have to always make sure that we have an infrastructure that's capable of providing abundant, clean, affordable water. And that means it needs to be updated on a consistent basis. We need to have redundancy. We need to have resiliency. We also need to do it in a way that involves our neighborhood and involves other community institutions that are involved. And we've had nothing but success along all of these lines with this particular project.
The project, it was a challenging project that took a lot of feedback from not only the community but the best in engineering to come up with a five-sided reservoir.
The reservoir and pump station are critical water system components in moving Bull Run drinking water from the Washington County supply line to the higher elevation homes and businesses in the West Hills.
In 2011, we did an inspection of our Hyde Park reservoir and determined that the reservoir was not structurally sound. The existing reservoir sits right next to Highway 217, so you can imagine if that roof were to fail and we spilled water onto 217, what a mess that would be. So we took it offline and began the process of redesigning a new reservoir. At the same time, we had a pump station that is nearby called the Inglewood Pump Station, and we did an inspection of that as well and determined that the pump station was not seismically resilient.
In keeping with the district's leadership in environmental stewardship and sustainability, the project team investigated the potential of obtaining Envision Sustainability Rating credits as part of this project.
The Envision rating system uses 5 broad categories under the sustainability umbrella to do the ratings. Each of those 5 categories has multiple subcategories under which ratings are given. But the broad categories are quality of life, leadership, resource allocation, natural resources, and climate and risk.
As a result, the Tualatin Valley Water District achieved the Envision Gold certification level and earned the first Envision Award in Oregon. This was achieved in part from how they utilized the materials from the old reservoir.
One thing that was done is the existing reservoir, we crushed all the concrete and steel, and we were able to recycle the steel, and we used the crushed concrete here on site.
Anytime we embark upon a construction project like this that takes place in the neighborhood, we work very hard to involve the community, make sure that we are able to hear their concerns, to the best of our ability, address their concerns.
We were able to gain input from the neighbors as to what was important to them. And through that process, we settled on the exact shape of the tank. We settled on how the park should be restored. We did a full master plan with Tualatin Hills Park and Rec as to what the park will look like in its final stage.
The Tualatin Valley Water District is to be commended for their exceptional foresight and fiscal responsibility, which ensured that the $30 million Hyde Park Reservoir project did not become an excessive burden upon the district taxpayers.
Well, this is an ongoing challenge to be able to fund the continual maintenance of a young, resilient infrastructure. And I think the key isn't so much in what we did on this particular time or that particular time, but in looking forward to being able to make good investments, be able to hold some money back, to make sure that we don't fall too far behind on deferred maintenance. And it's just good policy making, which wouldn't be possible at all without a top-notch staff.
Because of their forethought and vision and their collaborative spirit in working with the public and neighboring services, the Tualatin Valley Water District has a state-of-the-art reservoir and pump station the whole community can take pride in.
By allowing them what input they could to the design, I think it helped the process along, and the final community celebration event that we held at the At the end of the project, we had a lot of compliments from the neighbors on how we treated them and how much input we allowed them to have throughout the process, and they really were pleased with the results.
I'm nothing but confident that as we move forward and as time goes by and we need to replace other infrastructure, that we'll take the same approach.
When a neighboring fire district had to shut down due to expired insurance coverage, the Hauser Fire District was requested to cover the lakeside area emergency calls.
They contacted us in February and asked if we would cover until they could get insurance, probably approximately 2 weeks to a month. From that time, because of all the dissension out there, it kind of went downhill.
The request for assistance for 2 weeks to a month grew to 8 months due to unforeseen challenges that Chief Jerry Wharton had to overcome.
I knew there was problems and significant problems out there. I didn't have any idea it was where it was. We kind of got our eyes open.
It took over 4 months to get access to the lakeside station and their equipment. Chief Jerry found the equipment in poor repair and no organization of tools on any of the fire vehicles. This was going to be a bigger challenge than anticipated for Chief Wharton and his crew of volunteers at the Hauser District.
With our organization and the amount of volunteers we have, that put quite a strain on them, because we normally run approximately 200 calls a year. When we finished up, we were at 502, and that was with our volunteers.
More than doubling the hours for the Hauser Fire District volunteers put his crew to the test. The challenge grew even bigger when the volunteers realized they faced opposition from the Lakeside District.
They were not willing to let anything go, and we had people photographing us when we would roll on calls. They were taking our times and making up their own stories, putting it out in public media. Numerous times we had personnel being followed when we were running down Highway Code 3. They were following us, tailgating us. A couple times they kind of tried to cut people off. They'd follow us right to the edge of the scene. We had them even on radio at times telling us we didn't need to be responding.
Despite the setbacks, despite the opposition, Chief Wharton and his dedicated crew of volunteers met each challenge and continued to provide quality emergency medical and fire protection service to both the Hauser and Lakeside District.
We doubled our workload, put the burden on our volunteers, and we are a volunteer department. Everybody here is volunteer, and everybody stepped up to accommodate that. Several years ago we kind of started, we don't take just anybody. We want people that are dedicated and willing to put in the time and to help our community. That was a big help when we went out there.
The district board provided support when they could, and when emergency calls came in, the volunteers were there to respond.
With the encouragement of our board at times and our personnel, kind of one day at a time. The next call, we always had people going. We ran numerous times where we ran multiple calls at the same time. And we always had personnel to be able to go both ways.
Chief Wharton and all the volunteer crew at the Hauser Fire District clearly exemplified what it means to give of yourself and to reach out to your neighbor in need.
We're here primarily to serve our community and to help our neighbors, and that's why we volunteer. If it wasn't for that alone, we wouldn't have done it. You have to have that kind of mentality where you're willing to go help. And we have very strong within our organization as far as that sense to be able to go help everybody.
Lake Chinook Fire and Rescue is an expansive 105 square mile fire district. The district is predominantly a weekend and vacation community, which translates into many homes, but a limited amount of permanent residents.
We have a lot of properties with nothing but travel trailers or nothing on them, so there's not a high tax dollar value in them. So we don't get a lot of revenue from the tax base.
Very limited tax base, just over $100,000 that has to pay for salaries, materials and services, capital expenditures, new equipment, and the price of stuff these days, $100,000 doesn't go anywhere.
The district's main focus is on life safety through preparedness and prevention. To accomplish this, they have replaced old, unreliable apparatus with newer, reliable engines, a new tender, and a newer ambulance. The challenge was to do this as fiscally responsible and financially prudent as possible. This is a challenge Chief Don Cofields took on with tremendous success.
Don has just done such a tremendous job in developing this, getting all of our programs in place, getting the buildings up, new equipment that works.
Because of Don's extensive research and constantly developing contacts, he was able to procure top-grade fire protection and emergency medical vehicles for very little money. Often, he is even able to get items donated, as was the case with the new pumper donated by the Portland Fire Bureau.
It's a surplus engine. It's new to us. It is actually ideal for us. It has very, very low miles.
An ambulance was donated by the Black Butte Fire Department, which allows for quicker transport of patients since they no longer have to wait for a medical transport from Madras. And while Chief Cofields has been the primary force to keep the Lake Chinook Fire and Rescue District on the cutting edge of emergency medical service and fire prevention, he is quick to recognize the support of his board and the dedicated team of volunteers like Lieutenant Art Dorsey, who has devoted untold hours refitting and restoring many of the vehicles donated to the fire district.
Lieutenant Dorsey, who spent a lot of time here on equipment preparedness, he ensures that these vehicles are ready to roll at moment's notice.
With Art's vehicle painting and restoration skills, he is able to turn this military truck into a first-class Lake Chinook Fire and Rescue vehicle.
This is one of the units that we've gotten from a FEP program from the government. It came, what it was a vehicle that towed a tank, and it had a low blade. It had a big winch on it and stuff that we took off. It's 3,000 gallons. It's capable of spraying as you drive down the road. This unit goes up and down.
The vehicles and equipment Don and his district recently received are valued at over $250,000, with a cost to the taxpayers at less than $10,000.
I don't want to say we're tight, but we're definitely cheap. And we're very frugal with the taxpayer's dollar.
While stretching the taxpayer's dollar to amazing lengths is the order of the day, compromising on quality and excellence is not.
I've been to a lot of fire districts in the state of Oregon and Washington as far as volunteers is concerned. And basically, I think this is one of the finer stations that provides the service.
The one thing we won't settle on is we insist on being first class.
Chief Cofields' unwillingness to compromise on excellence is also demonstrated by his districts being named #1 in the state and 3rd in the nation for total hours devoted to wildfire preparedness. There is no secret to Chief Don Colville's success. How does he accomplish all of this? It's a question he's been asked many times.
I tell every one of them, take advantage of every single grant that's available. Grants that are available through the federal government, grants that are available through state, grants that are available through private industry, grants that are available through SDAO itself. We were just awarded a safety grant through SDAO for a power gurney, which was needed, terribly needed because of the age of our volunteers, basically. So,
Don takes pride in the Lake Chinook Fire and Rescue District and the service it provides to its taxpayers. He continues to strive to increase their services through new training, new equipment, and new apparatus at the best possible cost.
I encourage everybody to go out and seek grants and seek funding from outside sources. That's how you can improve your district and improve your district services to your constituents.